And it's the one tattoo that I don't want to think about. I just don't want, I don't want to think about what I've done to myself. Ugh. This is a video I've been meaning to film for a while, and I haven't because, Kat, how did you get so dusty? What were you doing? Hello. My name is Mads. This is where I document myself poking myself with needles over and over again. I started tattooing myself in December of 2020. I had spent about 6 months practicing, which highly suggest you practice. Sometimes we don't, but that's a really good idea. So I filled up like an entire 100-page notebook front and back with studies of tattoo flash, and I did a bunch of drawings where I hand poked. That being said, mistakes were still made. So today, we're going to talk about all the mistakes I've made so far tattooing myself at home. Very early on, from the studying I had done of tattoos, I knew that eventually they're going to set in and they're going to blend out a little bit. So I wanted to have as thin of lines as possible, also thinking I could hide any mistakes that way. I used a 3-round liner, and that is too small. It works, but ultimately the problem is it doesn't hold enough tattoo ink. But when you're poking and you're like dipping it in the ink, like a quill or Quillen ink or something, it's too little ink, and there just wasn't enough ink on the needle. The other mistake I made first time around is I hadn't figured out my setup yet, and I had read a lot about how important it is to like stretch skin as you go, but what I didn't realize is floating elbows is not, like, you want to be able to like brace yourself. So the chair I had at the time, I was like twisted in a desk chair working with my foot up on something, and this elbow was just up in the air. And what I really should have done is like had somewhere to rest it so that it wasn't floating all over the place, because these lines are pretty rough. I've seen worse, so it's fine, but I ended up touching it up at least twice. And there's just spots like that are mispokes that there's just nothing to be done about it. So meh. Keep your elbows down. That's mistake 1 and 2. Use something closer to like a 7-round liner for your line work, not something itty bitty like a 3-round liner. I still use 3-round liners sometimes for detail work, but just save yourself the hassle. It goes a lot faster. And then floating elbows. Make sure you are balanced and stable when you are tattooing. Saw it on Tombstone. So one of my early videos, I talked about how I thought the ink was bad, and I told people, like, don't buy this ink. Yeah, no, what I did is I went out in the sun. So my second tattoo I did was this skeleton guy, and I did this tombstone after I put the skeleton down, and I went on a hike the next day, and I didn't want to put sunscreen on like an open wound, so it got sun, and it got really sunburned, but I thought it got infected and angry, because I'm dumb. And it turns out what actually happens is, you know how black clothes absorb the sun when you're standing still? Like, it absorbs more UV light because it's dark. It can't reflect as much. Pale white skin reflects the sun. Black as hell tattoos do not. If you ever got anything black work like that, like when I go out in the sun, this is healed a year now. Boy, do I feel the sun. I feel it, right? Those who are heavily tattooed, it's not just about protecting your art. It's like you can feel yourself burning right away because like this stuff eats up the sun. It's amazing. It's fascinating. Don't get a sunburn on your tattoo because it sucks, and then you might think it's infected. What's next, past self? Okay, the wizard. So another part of practicing is being prepared, and you should probably very confidently decide what you want. You should practice it. You should know what you're doing. Because sometimes, this is so silly. I've done so few things in my life out of spite, but this is something I kind of did out of spite. This wizard tattoo on the side of my leg was important to me. It was for my mom. And I went to a tattoo parlor with my drawing, and I was like, can I get a tattoo professionally done of this? And they went, it's not very good art. We can work on it and try to make it more tattoo-y, but yeah, that's not, just talk, a really pretentious shop that I did not end up going to. And it hurt my feelings. So I said, fuck you guys, I'm going home. And I just put down the art as it was on my leg. And it's fine. I don't hate it. But there's also a reason I still haven't finished it, because like I don't care. So yeah, be really confident in your art. I also never really confidently decided before I started it if it was going to be colored, if it was going to be gray washed. I wanted him to have like dark brown skin, and I never practiced that. And so I just didn't do it because I didn't want to mess it up. So now I have this half-finished tattoo for the last 3 years. Second mistake I made on this guy. When you're tattooing yourself, you want to stretch that skin, and you also need to have the needle at a specific angle. When it's on this plane facing this direction, and you can only tilt the needle down, because otherwise the ink's going to run the wrong way and it's not going to end up in the tattoo, can't really reach. I've been working on my flexibility. I'm not a flexible person, carry a lot of tension in my lower back like a lot of us. So I had a hand on here that was supposed to be going underneath, and I just didn't add it. And I had to go in the next time and try to finish up the bottom and decide what I was going to do with it, because I literally could not reach it. I thought like, yeah, it'll be unpleasant, but I couldn't get the needle at the correct angle. So placement for tattoos really matters. I still get kind of nervous about things I'm not confident about. Same with the wizard. Is I have like this little rat guy who I love. I love him so much. He's a little plague rat, and he was supposed to be like solid black. There's a hole in my sock. Anyway, he was supposed to be solid black, and I've yet to fill him in because he is so cute, and I love him so much, and I don't want to just make a black blob on my leg and lose my cute little rat friend. So again, tattoos that are not finished because I was not prepared. You can always practice. Why haven't I practiced and done it by now? I don't know. I have other stuff to do. So just shut up. I also did kind of the same thing with this Star of Chaos. I wanted to give it a lot of depth and make the like circle part visibly underneath the arrows, and I haven't because I'm scared. I don't want to mess it up. Again, it's like on my like to-do list that I will never do is like go back in and darken all this up. I liked the little tiny bit of gray shading that I got, and I just never went back and did it more. So summary, just have like simple line art, and maybe like fill something in solid if you want, but like you don't need to have complicated art. Like all this is way too complicated. It's just kind of how I like drawing, and for the longest time, I was determined to only put my own art on my leg. So you don't... Simple stuff. Simple. Keep it simple, stupid. Using colored ink. That's my next mistake. So you can have a basic understanding of color theory, but then you have to take into account like skin tone and how it's going to age. Everything gets a little bit darker, and it gets tinted with like my skin tone. It turns a little bit yellow. So I definitely decided early on to never use color, and then I just started using color. I've got like this little guy on the back here, and just said F it and started putting color in there, and that was okay, but I didn't need to do that. Color makes things complicated. With stick and poke, you need to buy pre-mixed colors. I've read online about people mixing their own tattoo inks, which is fine when you're using a machine, because a machine goes brrr, and it shakes up your ink for you. When you're hand poking and it takes you 4 hours, your inks might separate again. So the biggest mistake I personally made... Wait, where are you? You're up here. This guy. I messed him up, and I knew I messed him up when I was doing it, and I was embarrassed, and it makes me sad because I thought he was really cute. So this is a Heffabee from Winnie the Pooh, because I'm an adult and I have a Winnie the Pooh tattoo. It's beside the point. I wanted it to be lavender, but I didn't want to go buy lavender ink. So I mixed white ink with the purple that I used on this heart. Over 2 hours, the white settled to the bottom, and this deep purple came to the top, and I didn't notice. So this guy, it's okay. And again, it's something I'll go back and I'll fix. But like, this guy's too dark now. You can't see his cute little face. I was horrified. I was absolutely horrified when I realized what I had done to myself. And I'm like, well, that's going to look like a bruise for the rest of my life. And I just kind of didn't pack it in as tight. And I hoped some of it would fall out. And I figured I'd go back later with a lighter color. And it's the one tattoo that I don't want to think about. I don't want to think about what I've done to myself. It's okay. Stuff happens. But like, that was dumb. I've tried a couple different times to use both grayscale. There's the kind that's just watered down, so it's just a thinner black ink. And then there's the kind that's mixed with white. And I decided to try out the kind that's mixed with white for this molecule guy. And I wanted to have all kinds of depth to it and stuff. And white ink is very thick. I'm going to make an assumption that the molecules of white ink are bigger than black. I don't know for sure. I'm not a scientist. But I couldn't seem to get the ink to stay on the needle. And I had a really hard time just trying to make it gray. And like, there's a little bit of gray left in the center of the eyeball. But I had like 5 different colors. And it didn't work out. So again, if you're a scratcher and you don't know what you're doing, just stick with black ink and maybe water it down with some like just distilled water or something like that. You don't need to buy stuff with white in it because it makes stuff complicated. Stop making things complicated. I make things complicated. Please learn from my mistakes. Next one. Speaking of grayscale. Okay. So this is the one that I used the white ink on, and then this is one where I tried to just like water down my own colors. I successfully watered down my own black ink on the Chaos Star, but almost too much. And then I saw someone did some leaves. I saw it on a subreddit, and I was like, that looks cool. I want to do that. And so I just was like, I'm going to do that. And I have some black leaves on my leg, and it's fine. I don't hate it. But that was not my intention at all. I wanted this like light gray, like translucent looking leaves. And I mixed a bunch of different colors of ink, and it's just black. It's hard to tell how watered down an ink is when it's in the cup. And even practicing on fake skin just didn't tell me what it was going to look like once it was in my skin and healed. Speaking of white ink, way too thick, hard to work with, and it's not even worth your time, because I got this my boat, and there's all kinds of white ink in there. You're just going to have to take my word for it, because you can't see it. I packed a ton of... I have this, like, nautical star on the bottom, and I tried to pack white ink in it, and I tried to have, like, highlights on the boat, and it just turned yellow, and it looks gross. So we don't talk about that. You don't need white ink. It can make a difference inside of something else. Like if you want to add a highlight on top of other ink, but like if you're pale like me, you don't need that. You don't need that stress in your life. Plus, you've already done enough damage to your skin. Just try to just leave bare flesh where you want your highlights. Don't add white if you don't know what you're doing. Go get an apprenticeship. Stop taking this so seriously. Okay. When I went and did... you're too far. This guy. So originally, this guy went like down my foot, and it fell out because the skin on the bottom of my foot is thicker because I walk around barefoot like a Neanderthal. But I should have actually gotten like a pumice stone and like gone to town on my foot to get all the excess skin off, because now my staff is a little bit short. It's not the end of the world. It's something that can be fixed though. So not a big mistake, but still a mistake. Don't be sloppy unless you wanna. It's your body. I'm not your dad. Do what you want. Do 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 Something I did relatively recently. I started this Stardew Valley Z guy on the back of my leg. And this one I used pre-mixed grayscales instead of trying to mix them like I did over here. I used some pre-mixed ones. And that one, I didn't get sun this time. I swear I didn't get, hello, I'm in here somewhere. I didn't get sun this time, I swear. But this really irritated my skin. I don't know if it's what the ink was mixed with. But I never went back and I put in the little like shaded boxes. Something I still need to fix, but I have to like mix my own. Cause that sucked. And it didn't feel good, and it's scary thinking you gave yourself an infection and that you'll have to go to like urgent care or something and be like, wah, look what I did to myself because nobody loved me as a child. My most recent mistake, I'm not thrilled, but luckily it's on the back of my leg, so I don't have to look at it. Last tattoo I did, this guy. Can you see it? I can't see you, so I'm just going to take your word for it. This guy, my little sumo guy. If you look real close, you'll see there's a line going through his ear. That was dumb. I don't know why. I assumed that the ear was somewhere else. I don't know if the ink was on there too thick. I'll go back and watch the video. Luckily I vlogged this whole thing, so I'll figure out what I did. But yeah, there's a line going through Mr. Ricochet. So his ear looks stupid. Where are you? Jesus, how did I reach this? I still have to finish it. I only did one pass. He needs another pass. But yeah, he's got like a little pointy ear instead of his cute little round ear. He's the first one that's stolen art. I went to Japan to go watch sumo a couple years ago, and I was walking around and saw a sticker on someone's like moped, and I thought it was cute and thought about it for a while and ended up stealing it, and now it's on the back of my leg. So that's my little Ricochet. If you are searching online for help, there is a Reddit called Stickandpokes. That's a good place to go and share your art, but it's not a good place to get advice. If you're looking for advice on tattooing, I would just lurk in like tattoo apprentices or r/tattoo artists. I've learned way more just lurking in there than I actually ever did asking in Stick and Poke. I think I made like 5 separate posts being like, whoa, why can't I get white ink into my skin? And nobody knows what they're doing in there. Again, we're all scratchers. Stick and Poke is 98% us little gutter punks in our bedrooms doing dumb stuff. My final point, this is more me and my ADHD thing. I've bought way more ink colors and needles than I actually needed. I assumed that I would go through 150 needles by the time they expired. You look at the expiration date and you go, 2024, that's so far away. You don't need that many needles. Every time I sit down to poke, I'll use like 5 or 6 max. And so like 1 box of needles should be plenty. I've got at least a half a dozen boxes of now expired needles. Do not use expired needles. I will come to your house and I will hurt you. Yeah, really shouldn't have bought as much tattoo ink as well. I used to want to do like a rainbow. There was like this big dragon and a rainbow that I wanted to do for a long time, and I changed my mind. So I bought a bunch of different colored inks that are all now expired. My distributor has actually sold me expired inks before, and I'm too weak of a person to go and try to return it and ask for one that's not expired. I really should have said something, but I didn't. I'm happy with my leg overall, and I let myself make mistakes knowing that like eventually I might black out the whole leg, you know? I might go do something else over it. It's relatively light. I really like a lot of my pieces. Some of them I don't though, especially the ones that are like on the outside of my leg that other people see. Stuff like this wizard, don't read. No one will ever know what this is unless I tell them what it is. My skeleton, that looks like a skeleton. You can tell that's a skeleton, right? I think that's a skeleton. But a lot of these are kind of just for me, and you can't really tell what they are. So this has been a sort of summary video of the last 4.5 years of me doing stick and poke. I will continue to poke myself. I will continue to make mistakes, and I will continue to tell the internet about it. So I'm gonna go pet a cat. You don't do dumb stuff, and if you do, maybe don't tell the internet about it. Just keep it to yourself. Just do a small tattoo like up here, right up here, where no one will know. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye bye.